author, Kundalini yoga instructor, etc. So, and having a really amazing and inspiring story. So I invited her to come and speak a little bit about her journey and about what she's doing now. Then afterwards, we'll have the filmmakers come up and have a Q&A and talk about their films.
Great.
Thank you, Abra. Wow, those last two ones really hit me. And I said, I don't know if I can go up there and not cry. So if I do, storytelling. You know, why is it so important? You know, what is the source of its power? You know, how can it transform our lives? For any of the producers and writers and people here, anyone that has shared their story just one-on-one with another, thank you. I mean, it's human connection. It's human connection, and anytime a story is told, it shines a light into those rooms that are so dark, you know, that our disease brings us to. And anytime one is received and actually heard and taken in, most of all, it eats at the shame. You know, from the depths of darkness, in heartache and despair, treatment, jail, hospitalizations multiple times, criminal court, children's court, the state bar court, testing for 3 different entities, I was brought to suicidality from unaddressed trauma, my addiction, and public shaming. And I did attempt to take my life. Since I was a child, I lived with this basic understanding that I think the majority of the human race operates on. And it was a belief that I am just a body and the thoughts my mind makes. And everything was focused on the outside. Everything outside me. A doctor did bad things to me when I was a little girl, and I would go and hide in the closet, and it visually was this place that I always returned to as a child, as an adult. I never understood why. But it was like the visualization that it's me, and there's this box around me. I'm abandoned, and it's me against that. That shaped everything in my life. And then there was some pretty crappy racial bullying that happened where, I forgot to wear my Brownie uniform, and we had moved from Santa Ana to further south in Orange County. And, I forgot to wear my Brownie uniform. Well, that's okay, you're already a Brownie, and I have a birthmark that is lighter now, but it's covered on my face that I was born with. And they started saying, like, wash your face, it's dirty. And, I just got up and kept going. It's not a big deal. But when the stuff started to happen with the doctor, it was like, you're a dirty little brown girl. And I think that repeated just throughout. That was the shame with that box that I carried throughout my life. I was a little brown girl that simply wanted to save the world, and became an extremely passionate civil rights attorney following in my father's footsteps, and was on the school board in the same city that he grew up in. And bam, he had a heart attack and died. Actually, that was in the beginning of my second year of law school, and my friend from law school was here. My father was my hero, an orphan field worker who grew up with nothing, and he overcame all his obstacles and became an attorney helping other people. And when he died, it was like everything I believed in the world was gone. But I just kept going. I just kept going. I represented a kid that was wrongfully convicted. Jim is here from back in that day. Gosh, how long ago? 25 years ago?
1998.
And it was my first case. And it was like, little Nadia, I'm gonna save the world. And, you know, I'm a grown woman now, but work like that is what fed me and what helped me find light in the world, in the way that I was existing. He was eventually freed. In the midst of that, while I picked myself up, I mean, after a variety of things bad that happened, including our best friend died of cancer right in front of me. And, you know, life happens. I just kept going, and bam, a big rig hit my car, and I wasn't breathing when they found me. My brain bled. I had 22 broken bones and a punctured lung. And after being on life support and the brain swelling going down, of course, none of that I remember. The first thing I remember is an IV line to morphine. I don't even remember the hospital. I don't remember it until like a month and a half later, I was in a rehabilitation hospital. And I just remember that button. The sounds of the cushions going on my legs, and it's like tap, 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 didn't ring. When I died, I entered a space that holds the only truth that matters, and I didn't want to leave. It is inexplicable. Time isn't linear, and everything made sense. When I first had a sense I'm in this life, it was with that button in my hand. And it was exactly the opposite. My body aching, your body. And again, I'm in this box, just keep on going, you're gonna save the world. I literally left the rehab hospital unable to walk in my wheelchair to continue the fight to free Arthur Carmona. And, you know, I'm not bragging. I am not proud of any of that, because lo and behold, you know, awards, accolades, the up-and-comer, all these things. I ended up in the arms of the most powerful man in the state, who became my husband. None of that mattered. None of it. All the outside things. Because I was dying inside. And all the unaddressed flashbacks, when they started coming back in my marriage, my husband exposed me, my ex-husband, exposed me to a drug when we were dating, and that was methamphetamine. And like a robot, I continued in the same mode, just totally disassociated. I was terrified of him and would just prepare myself for whenever he would come home, and the flashbacks from the childhood stuff just kept coming back. We lost a child. Arthur Carmona was killed after he was freed. And my brother attempted suicide while under our roof, who I had taken in. And I just couldn't keep up. The little Nadia fighting, I just couldn't keep up. It was just back to back and out of the blue. And so what did I do after several years of sobriety? I went to a Kaiser facility to get help while I was doing the stupid thing of making my life more public and running for county supervisor. And I met a man who was a meth addict. I honestly cared for this person. My husband and I were living in different places, and I got addicted again. And within a month or two, weird things started to happen. I ended things, And then I found out that he had taken pictures of me without my consent and was selling them online. Then he blackmailed me. Then did a variety of other psychological drama, faking suicide threats and things that I believed were true. So sober, I became suicidal. The one thing that saved me was being a mother. And when I was sent after that man strangled and violently assaulted me on witness protection and into treatment, that was when the press had a heyday. I had already been branded addict, infidel. Then it became crazy, slut, all over the news and paper. No one gave a damn about the truth of what had happened. The level of abuse and psychological terror that that man put me through was something that no one should be put through. Still, the focus was on everything outside me, on what they were saying, on the shaming, cross your T's, dot your I's, fulfill the sentence, but I'm really a really good person inside. Everything was focused on the outside. And it wasn't until 5 years later I found myself in Linwood Women's Facility after several years of sobriety, having had a relapse again. I have been 10 years sober from drugs.
Yay!
I have almost 3 years sobriety from alcohol. November 14th, 2019 is that sobriety date. I was in Linwood Women's Facility again. How on earth did I get here again? I wanted sobriety and dedicated myself to sobriety so much. I had lost everything. And I just was begging, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And my Father's Spirit and Arthur's Spirit, I felt beside me, remind me of the truth of what I am. This is not who you are. You know who you are. And that began what was a 7-year journey of recovery, where I finally stopped looking outside me. I finally stopped listening to the labels. You are not the labels that the system or anyone puts upon you. You are not what anyone has said or done to you. None of that matters. The only truth that matters is that we are all infinite beings, whole, perfect, and complete. Nothing can change that. When I started trying to remember that every day, I went back to my fellowship, Sunset Beach and Thursdays, with my tail between my legs, who they had seen me trying. And they accepted me wholeheartedly with open arms. And I finally started getting honest about my mental health struggles and my alcoholism. I found a kick-ass sponsor who has a step workshop, and I did the steps for about the 5th time, but this time I really did them. And I'm still part of that fellowship on a daily basis. That fellowship has been my rock. I also did trauma therapy, intensive trauma therapy, where I didn't know where to start. And eventually was able to do EMDR. Eventually. And I relived that doctor's office room and something else that completely reframed my understanding of this life and how I relate to it. But what was the most transformative for me in my life was work that I did with a woman, Miriam Paul. And it was when she said to me, "You're not a body." I said, "What the hell is this woman talking about?" And she explained to me, again, the only truth, that we are all infinite beings. But she said one thing to me that I use every single day. I mean, what's all this like? Godly, we're infinite beings, whole, perfect, and complete. What on earth are you talking about, Nadia? She taught me our minds are survivalistic in nature. They're reptilian. And our minds send attack thoughts on ourselves, thinking it's going to help us. Fear and judgment rule. And on others. Our systems shaming is just off the charts right now. We think it's getting better. No, we need to stand up against it. So attack thoughts on self and others, they come in the form of fear in me. When I see another acting in their fear and judgment and projecting, I'm able to recognize it. And every single day, I have a choice. You have a choice. We can choose fear or judgment and let that take us on a ride, or love. And love is recognizing, again, I am not these thoughts, I am not this body. We are infinite beings, whole, perfect, and complete, regardless of anything that's said or done. And so when I connect to that, that is what I call a home within. My book is titled Home is Within You, and there's a variety of other free offerings and stuff that I do online. Home is within you is a concept that I tried and will try to teach my sons. I have 3 sons, a 19-year-old and almost 7-year-old twin boys who now have a healthy mom. Every chapter begins with "Dear son," and then something, "You are not mere DNA. When I visited the angels, you were there," and they were there when I died that night. And so home is within you evolved, overriding, and the full circle experiences of none of this matters. There is a home within you that holds that truth, where you can just sit back and say, okay, today I'm going to recognize fear and judgment, and I'm going to choose love. Because public accountability, the media's accountability of how they are describing people with mental health struggles and addiction, all of it, they can't be held accountable until we recognize how we're shaming ourselves. Shame is what brought me to suicidality. I was addicted to shame, probably more than alcohol. The shame came, and then the alcohol came. And so my work today is of service to others to help them ban their shame. Hashtag ban shame. So that the system changes and the world changes. I mean, when I look at you having the heart to hear these stories and to take it in and to learn from them, I see love. I see people that see other human beings as human beings. And no, not judging, and without fear. So thank you for letting me share. There's bookmarks that have little sayings from the book, as well as social media info. Everything is free, including yoga and healing chat and other stuff. So thank you.